All right, good evening and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mike's Tiny Truck Shop. And by exciting, I pretty much mean mostly for me because I get to build a new truck and that's always a good day. As you can see here in front of me, I have got a box from NegativeG RC. If you're not familiar with NegativeG RC, it is a company that makes competition flat rail chassis kits. And this particular one, there's a couple reasons I went with NegativeG. I can tell you I don't think they're as well known of a company as some of the others, say like, G-Speed, Rock Pirates, that kind of thing. I think they're a newer company, although I'm not going to speak too much on the history of the company. I'm just not that familiar. I don't want to speak out of turn. But what they do is they build kits that basically allow you to take an off-the-shelf RTR existing truck or a kit, whatever, and use that as a donor vehicle along with their chassis kit, and you pretty much have an out-of-the-box ready-to-go comp rig. Now, the problem I ran into when trying to choose a chassis was that a lot of the other ones out there, you pretty much had to piece it all together. You had to know exactly what mounts you need for the motor, what skid you need, spacers, shock mounts, I mean, you name it. There's pretty much every aspect of the chassis you had to piece together, and you had to know what you were looking for. So it's not necessarily, a problem with the chassis itself. It's a problem with that this is just completely out of my wheelhouse. This is not something I normally do because I'm normally into the scale side of the hobby. So, comp stuff is totally new to me. I've never built an LCG flat rail type chassis, so I don't really know what I'm looking for. So when I found NegativeG, I was pretty excited about it because it basically allowed me to just pick out a kit that was based on whatever axles I wanted to use, and most everything that I need to build a chassis is in there, and anything else I would need to complete the truck would be on your donor vehicle. Now, I did a little bit different because I didn't want to take one of my existing trucks apart, so I did piece all the other stuff together, but at least the complete chassis is in this box. So the kit I have is the part number TC-V-1.5, and the TC references that it's Traxxas or TRX4. I'm not sure what the T stands for, so either Traxxas or TRX4. If you had a Capra axle kit, it would be CC V1.5 and on down the line. So if you want any more information on that, just go to their website, check it out. I will throw out there, I am in absolutely no way affiliated with NegativeG. They don't give me free stuff. I'm not sponsored in any way, any of that, get that out of the way. I know I'm kind of pimping them a little bit, but that's because so far, even though I haven't even built this truck, I've had a really good experience with them. So again, go ahead and check them out if you're wanting to do something similar to what I'm doing. So enough of me rambling on, and I'm going to say it's just time to get in here and see what's in the box. Alright, so the basis of the kit is going to be our rails. And so we've got a nice set of carbon fiber rails, trying to focus there, TCV1. This is actually a TCV 1.5 kit, and I believe the only difference between the 1 and the 1.5 is that they went to a higher quality of plastics. And by plastics, I mean 3D prints. Everything in here is 3D printed. But nice carbon fiber, flat chassis rails. The first 3D printed piece we have is going to be the skid. Now there are two different skids available, and it's really easy to pick out which one you need. All it has to do with is your motor choice. If you're going to be using a brushed motor or a large can brushless motor, you would use their standard skid, which is shorter. It gives you more room for the motor. Now I'm going with a outrunner style motor, so I went with the extended skid. And what the extended skid allows me to do is to move the battery that much farther forward so that I'm getting as much weight bias over the front axle as I can. So I wanted that, so I went with that route. Alright, the next is a whole bag of 3D printed plastic stuff here. And even though these are still in the bag, I can tell they are super clean. They look like very high quality prints. A lot of your 3D stuff tends to be kind of hit or miss. These are super nice, so I don't think I'm going to have any issues with any of this stuff. But you do get a set of 3D printed sliders in there. There's bumpers, there's body mounts, looks like there's transfer case halves in here, and there is a, right here, got a 3D printed pan hard bar mount. Alright, next, this little bag here, a couple little more carbon fiber bits. And what we've got in here is going to be our forward motor mount. And I believe this is probably a piece of the transfer case right here. You've got a couple carbon fiber front bumper mounts, brackets. And this is going to be our front bumper. It's a little knurled aluminum piece in there. That's going to be the front bumper. Then you've got a couple aluminum spacers in there. And there is one stainless link, and if I'm not mistaken, that's probably going to be our drag link. Alright, the next bag is going to be hardware and transfer case pieces. And this is really nice to see. A lot of the kits you get give you pretty much the cheapest Chinese junk hardware you can find. And this looks like it is really high quality stainless hardware, so that's nice to see. But you've got some rod ends in here, you've got gears for the transfer case, bearings for the transfer case shafts, all that good stuff is in that bag. Alright, then we've got spur gear. Now they do include an incision spur gear with the kit. This is going to be a 32 pitch, 52 tooth incision gear. So pretty cool that they throw that in there so you don't have to go looking for a gear. And then this is going to be our prop shaft. Now the prop shaft is the drive shaft that goes between your transfer case and your forward motor mount. Now I thought I had read that they use an incision shaft, but this clearly says NegativeG RC, which probably won't show up through that plastic. But yeah, it says NegativeG RC right on there, so I don't know. Probably not incision, doesn't matter. Sure, it'll work just fine. And we've got these rubber bands. NegativeG likes to use these rubber bands to tune the droop on the suspension. I don't know that I've seen a lot of other chassis manufacturers do that. I know people do that. I've seen other guys do it. I think they just take rubber bands and mess around with them, but they actually include them in the kit, which is cool. Then of course you got your stickers. So we got a big NegativeG RC sticker, got a little round NegativeG sticker, and then we've got our sticker sheet, and it's got a little scale license plate, and most importantly the American flag. This is Made in America kit. I'm wanting to say is in, like, I don't know, Ohio or something. I'm not 100% sure where they're at, but definitely in America, so that's pretty cool. Last but not least is going to be our paperwork. Not a whole lot in here. What they do give you though is this barcode right here. You scan that, and I believe that takes you to either a PDF or some kind of web-based version of the assembly instructions. Now they do say on here the tools you're going to need to finish it, which anybody that's ever built any kind of kit or that's just into RC in general probably has all this stuff. There's nothing weird there. But they do give you some of the components that you're going to need to complete the kit, being a Traxxas TRX4 donor vehicle on a 12.3-inch wheelbase, complete electronics package, battery, and Traxxas 8115 body mount set. So it's cool that they tell you everything you're going to need so that you don't have to guess and hunt, which is what I was trying to avoid. Alright, so let's box that back up for the moment. Alright, so a couple of the things I did mention on that kit there, or on that instruction sheet, they were talking about the 8115 body mount kit. I ended up going with the 8215, and as far as I could tell, the difference is the 8115 had a couple of short mounts in it, and I have no idea what body style I'm going to be going with on this thing. So I ran across the 8215 kit, which has a couple taller body mounts, a shorter body mount. So I think depending on whether I go with an SUV style body, a truck body, a cab only, whatever, I should have any body mount that I'm going to need to get that done. Jess also told me, I don't know if this is on their website, it's not on the sheet, but when I was talking to him via Messenger, he recommends that you get a pack of these 3931 Traxxas servo screws. And you can see that's for your steering servo. It's got a nice big round flat head on there. And they're like $2.50, so no big deal there. Grab some of those. And then also from NegativeG, not included in the kit, but optional stuff. This one right here is a set of rear upper link riser mounts. So that basically raises the top rear links up. And I'm not real familiar with what that does, other than it seems like a lot of people highly recommend doing that. And I believe it has something to do with tuning the anti-squat. So I went ahead and picked up a set of those while I was in there. And also off of the Negative G site. This guy right here is a billet aluminum pan hard bar mount. Now, as you saw in the plastics bag, it does come with a 3D printed mount, but for the cost of the billet mount, it seemed like cheap insurance to me. For a part that gets that kind of stress on it, I felt a little better going with the billet aluminum one. Alright, 3D printed bumper. Now what this is, unlike the standard bumper, this one gives you, or actually I guess it replaces the bumper. Anyhow, this is a servo mount. So what it is for is if you're going to use a micro servo winch. It has the winch mount, and then there's a hole in the front for your fairlead, and it gives you a little brass bushing in there that goes into the fairlead hole. And what that is, I believe it's made to be used with either a Reefs or an NSDRC micro servo winch. I believe it says those are the only two that it will work with, but again, you can check out their website if you have any questions on that. I don't even know if I'm going to install a servo winch in at this point. I just figured I might as well have it so I don't have to get it later, because it would probably cost more to ship it than what the part cost to buy. So, last Negative G piece. This is just a 3D printed comp style flatbed. If you're going to be using like a cab only style, like I know a lot of guys just want to do like a power wagon cab or something like that, this allows you to just run a little comp style flatbed, and I think you get bed points for it. I'm not real familiar with the competition scoring, but I believe there is a point value for having a flatbed, and that counts. So I got that, and these are just a little set of set screws that go in the front of the bed here. And what that is for is they stick out there, and then you just drill a couple holes in the back of your cab, and it slides over and gives you a rear body mount for the cab. Now the reason you might notice that I have two of them here is that this one has a hole in it to be used if you are using the extended upper link risers, which I have. So my understanding that is you use the link riser kit and it'll interfere here. So this one has the hole in it, so I've got both, so either way I end up going, I've got anything I need to make that work. Alright, so next I'm going to say would be links. Now, one of the parameters I'm trying to stick with on this build is I want it to be about as light as possible. And so I wanted to keep a lot of brass and stainless off of it, so I ended up going with the Samex titanium link set. Now this is just a standard high clearance link set for a 12.3 wheelbase TRX4. So nothing weird there, it's off the shelf stuff. And then I've got my rod ends. Now these are what are called the Traxxas Revo rod ends. You hear a lot of people talk about the Revo rod ends, and there was a lot of confusion for me because there are short ones, there are long ones. These are the shorter ones, and again, Jess over at Negative G was able to verify that I was getting the right part number. So if you're going to do something similar, you want the 5347s. Alright, next is going to be shocks. Now originally I wanted to do a set of Traxxas big bore shocks with the Mini-T springs. It's kind of a proven combination that a lot of guys are using on this type of a build. However, I was having a problem finding anybody that had them in stock. So what I ended up doing is going over to Corrupt Carbon Works and ordering up a set of Dluxfab shorts. Now you can get an ultra short or short. I believe the shorts are a 96 millimeter if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But I went ahead and got the shorts with the medium springs, and the reason I got the medium springs is that's pretty much all I could find on their site at the time. If they sold them with the soft springs, I couldn't find them, but that's not to say they're not there. And I don't know if the Mini-T springs are interchangeable with these shocks or not. I kind of feel they might be, but I could be wrong. Either way, I'm going to have to do some research and probably get some more springs to help me get the suspension tuned. And you may notice that those things are bright purple. And again, bright purple is not really my thing normally because, again, it's not very scale. But there's a reason I went with purple, and we will get into that later. Alright, so probably the next largest piece is going to be the axles. So as we've already talked about, I did choose the TRX4 axle-based version. Now, I was not able to find any local hobby shops or anybody online that even sold TRX4 axles just by themselves, other than, you know, kind of cheesy aluminum aftermarket things you can get on Amazon, and I wasn't really feeling it. So what I ended up having to do is going to eBay, and I found a set of takeout axles out of a TRX4 Sport kit. So this is a complete TRX4 Sport axle kit, got the gears and lockers and everything in that bag. So 3 bags worth of stuff there. If there's another way to get them, I'm sure there is. I couldn't figure it out. Alright, along with the axles, this is a TRX4, or I'm sorry, this is a Traxxas rear underdrive gear set. Now I went with the underdrive versus a front overdrive because I'm, I guess what you would call more of a finesse driver. I like to gear things down pretty much as low as possible to get the low speed control over wheel speed, and so this just kind of drops your back axle ratio down versus raising your front axle ratio. So that's the way I like to go. Along with that, I absolutely hate the ugly ass covers that Traxxas puts on their axles. They're bright red plastic, they don't look real at all. And even though realism's kind of out the window on this guy, I had to throw a little bit of scale bling in there somewhere. So I went to RC four-wheel drive and I got a pair of their ARB scale aluminum diff covers for the TRX4 axles, just to make them look a little bit nicer in my opinion. Alright, and last but not least, and this is not necessarily something you need to build this kit. This is just kind of an in general thing I've been needing to do for a while. It seems like every time I build something, I'm always digging around, you know, in little boxes here and there, trying to find some little miscellaneous nut or bolt or something. So I went ahead and went to Team K&K, and they have this monster bag, 700 pieces, and this has got pretty much any piece of hardware you're going to need to build one of these things. You know, it's got washers, it's got lock nuts, screws, you name it. It's all in there. I went with the black one. They also have a stainless one. I can't tell you why I went the black one. I think because I don't like a lot of shiny things on my trucks mostly. So this is not just for this truck. Like I said, this will probably get me through the next, you know, who knows how many trucks I build. There's going to be more screws than I need for the rest of my life probably. Alright, and also Team K&K. I went ahead and got their 60-piece spacer pack. I always seem to be digging around looking for a spacer or making a spacer or something. So I figured I would just have these on hand. I have no idea if I'm even going to need any for this kit. Probably not. But if I do, I have them. And anything else I build I need them for, I'll have them. And again, I went with the black. And now I know they make a black, they make a raw aluminum, and they may even make them in colors, but I don't swear to that. I kind of feel that if they did, I probably would have gotten purple ones. So I could be mistaken, but you might check out Team K&K if you're looking for little, you know, hardware accessory assortments. Really cool that they do that, because that's kind of something that every RC guy needs to have around. For tonight, I think I'm probably going to end that there. It's probably gotten even more long-winded than I originally intended. I pretty much just wanted to make this an introduction to the project, show the main parts that I had to put it together and where I wanted to go with it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to subject you to watching me bolt all this stuff together. That's not that interesting, and there's a million other videos out there of guys doing exactly that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up all the sub-assemblies. I may snap some footage of me putting it together. Yeah, I'm not really sure on that. But definitely, I think the next video I will probably have a completed chassis, and we're going to dive into the electronics. I'm going to go into some amount of detail on the electronics, what I've got and why, and get those installed. So if you've made it this far, I do thank you once again for watching, and please make sure to tune in to the follow-up when I get this thing done. I think it's going to be pretty cool when it's all finished up. And so until then, have a good evening, and thanks again for watching.